How you doing, Jess? Thanks for joining me this morning. I think you're on mute, actually.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me today.
No worries. I appreciate you coming on short notice like this. So something's going on down in Monroe County. What's happening down there?
Yeah, I appreciate you even covering, just a county-wide, issue. So this has to do with election and election fraud and things like that, which we are all familiar with in certain avenues, but this is a little bit different. This had to do with weaponizing the system against actual candidates and our local GOP chair. So real quick, I was the secretary of the Republican Executive Committee for the Monroe County area. I was also the secretary for the Southernmost Republican Club, and I did all of their media during the 2024 election. So we all think of that election as being historic for President Trump, but in Monroe County, we did have something somewhat significant, and that was our supervisor of elections race. And that race, there were two women running, Margaret Romero and Sherry Hodes. Sherry Hodes ended up winning that election. Thank God. Because we at the REC, we call the Republican Executive Committee the REC.
Right.
And we had decided we wanted to entertain the idea of an endorsement for Sherry Hodes and a $20,000 campaign donation to her during the primary. And that became contentious because they had never, this group at the REC had never used this particular rule. And the rule is provided at the state level. This is all written through the Florida GOP. So those are the rules that we have to follow. Well, once we had a vote, we had some people really stand up and complain about it. They did not like the result of the vote, and they just hit the media big time with it.
Yeah.
And, it's really sad to see, Republicans against Republicans. And we just got the results of what ended up being through the media. There was a woman named Phyllis May, and she filed a complaint. She based it on her reading the Key Citizen newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all hearsay. She was never a member of the Republican Executive Club. I'd never seen her. I've never met her, not even at the Southernmost Republican Club. I'd never seen her. So this was very much a hearsay type complaint, but you're talking third-degree felony. Third-degree felony for these women. And $20,000 misappropriation of funds they were being charged with. And so
they actually charged them and went through with it. I mean, people don't know. Let me just jump in. People don't know how corrupt Florida is on the down at the local level. I mean, the RPOF controls it like a vice. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I always wear my Fight Like a Flynn pin is because it's local action, right?
Totally.
It's totally local action, and so this complaint gets filed, and it's against the chairwoman of our GOP. I'm the secretary, so I'm on the board with these people, and with Sherry Hodes, the candidate who we wanted to endorse and fund. She also was the treasurer. So they wanted to bring, so these are, this is our executive board, the chairwoman, the treasurer, the secretary. And we had a wonderful vice chairwoman who went through all the rules and found where we were able to go ahead and endorse a primary candidate. Well, we provided our interpretation of the rules multiple times through email, on screen during the meeting. That was my job to do. My laptop's up. It's up on a TV, and nobody contested the way we interpreted the rule until the results were provided. And they were provided at that meeting. And the sad part about this is it's those actual members within that Republican Executive Committee that leaked out proprietary information and caused a huge scene. And one of those people was the state attorney, Dennis Ward. And he has a radio show called Good Morning Isla Morada, and he had the Democrat candidate, Ron Saunders, on his show multiple times. And here's another thing is, so Dennis Ward gets the complaint, and he has to recuse himself because he was a voting member of this committee. Rightfully so. He recuses himself. He has to send that up to Governor DeSantis. And Governor DeSantis has to review it and issue an executive order assigning this case to another county. It went over to Lee County.
This is a special report. Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
County, but out of nowhere, I mean, let's think of the succession here. Out of nowhere, the first time that executive order hits the sound waves, the internet, the social media, is through the Democrat. So,
Wow.
Logically, you might think he obtained that executive order from the state attorney. It's just logical at this point. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, we've reported with Chris Gleason and others like in depth here about he calls it the election fraud cartel in Florida because they're just not letting the grassroots get in power. I mean, I was on the Miami RAC, Miami-Dade, and literally they would just walk out of the room if there was a vote because they wouldn't have a quorum. All kind of just wild stuff to keep them out. But they were these people were I don't want to use the word acquitted. I mean, what happened in the case?
Yeah, so it took a year. The executive order by Governor DeSantis had an expiration date of I believe it was like September, maybe the 20th of this year. On August 14th, they did issue, Lee County issued their final report, and they had subpoenaed many of us, especially me, because I had to provide all of the documents. We had a wonderful attorney, Robert Fernandez. He was fantastic, and he attended he attended with the board members. He did not attend with all of the members that were subpoenaed, but we sat with all of them. They put out this report August 14th. And what's interesting is Dennis Ward, the state attorney, was also provided a copy of that. He was CC'd in the letter to the governor and never once notified any of us. Nobody. So I had to do a public records request, and because all the deadlines had passed, and I thought, well, all right, I'm going to do a public records request. As a secretary, I was under somewhat of a gag order, not issued by a judge, but it was recommended I keep my mouth shut. And I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut, and I'm no longer a member of that Republican executive committee. So I'm going to talk about it now and clear these women's names. So this report comes out, and they're completely, it's over. They're not doing anything. They have found zero negligence on the part of the Republican executive committee. And so we want the public to know, and thank God our voters are smarter these days. People are educated. They're tuned in. Both of these women have won their elections. And so, we've got to be grateful for that. Sherry is now our supervisor of elections. She would have, I could have gotten her on here, but because of that position, she does not want to, she wants to remain neutral. Of
course. Yeah. So you're protecting her. Well, wow. So what's the future in Monroe County? I mean, what do you see happening?
Well, you had mentioned how you experienced Miami being, it's hard to get into a grassroots, tipping that scale, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have tipped that scale, and we're a small county, so it's a little bit easier for us. But, and I know a lot of people like to attack the state level GOP, but I will say they've had our backs. They have shown support. They have shared the article and the video that I created. I actually created a video. If anyone wants to see it, you can go to my X page, where I read the entire thing. All the documents are put up on the screen, and I read it. It's about 18 minutes long, and they've shared it. Bill Helmick, the executive director, put it out there. So, I think the future of Monroe County is, being an example to the rest of the state. We can take this back, and, it might be little by little. And yes, they have little, tricks and tips to get up and walk out and avoid a quorum. And let me tell you, if you play to win, I'm sorry, but those are tactics that happen. They just are. And until you tip the scale in your direction, that's what happens. Everyone tries to pad the membership and bring their friends in, and it is a battle. But I will, if I could give anybody any recommendation, please, the Republican Executive Committee at your county level is where we get the work done.
Totally.
Totally where we get the work done.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just a quorum thing we experienced, but like they would not file the reports with per law with the local county supervisor elections because they didn't want anyone to know what openings were on the REC. So we didn't even know who was there or what openings were. We had to like be detectives to do that. But anyway,
and we do follow the law every bit of the way, and that's why we win.
Yeah, totally. So now I have to ask you, I forget the county's name, and I can't, we're having a cyber attack, so I can't even bring up my Miami Independent right now to check the county. But we did some articles on, there was one county up in northern Florida or mid Florida where the RPOF literally canceled the REC because it became MAGA.
Yes.
So do you expect anything like that?
No, because we have a huge majority. We have a huge majority. They keep coming in and trying to, you know, they'll put in one of their people for an election. We actually just lost our state committee woman. She had to move. She was new to the position. Amazing. Bethany Bartlett. She's amazing. But she had to go for family reasons. And we brought in a new member who's fantastic. And everyone voted for the new member. They did not vote for the older member. And it's like, look, you don't have what we want, you know?
Yeah.
Get over it.
Jess, thank you. I want to have you back because we want to stay on top of what happens in Monroe County. But thanks for short notice coming on. We appreciate it. And
thank you for covering it. Appreciate it.
It'll be on Miami Independent later today. I guess you're writing this up. So
I will send you what we've got. Yep.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank care.
You so much, Todd. Bye.